All right, welcome. Today we are diving deep into the powerful mechanics behind Nordic walking. We're going to explore how this, honestly, pretty simple activity can actually turn back the clock on some of those common signs of an aging gait and literally rebuild your stride from the ground up. So, let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself, or maybe you've noticed it in people you love. Why is it that as we get older, we tend to, stoop, to shuffle, to just seem a little smaller? It's something we see all the time. But here's the thing, it is not inevitable. It's a mechanical problem, which, and this is the good news, means it has a mechanical solution.
And just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got that powerful, upright stride, long steps, open hips, and on the right, that shuffling gait. This isn't just about how it looks, it's a sign of a breakdown in the body's machinery. Years and years of sitting create these deep muscle imbalances that literally lock our hips into a bent position, forcing us into that shuffle.
The best way to picture this is with a simple metaphor. Think about your body like it's a folding chair. When it's new, it opens up all the way, closes nice and smooth. But imagine leaving that chair half folded out in the rain for years, like we do when we sit at a desk. The hinges, which are kind of like our hip flexor muscles, they get tight, they get rusty, they get stuck, and they stop the body from ever fully straightening out.
So if we're a stuck folding chair, the last thing we need is a crutch just to lean on, right? What we need is a tool to help us unfold, and that is exactly what Nordic walking poles are. They are not passive supports, they are an active tool designed to systematically reverse that folding process and fix our body's mechanics with every single step you take.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics. First up, the push that opens. This all starts with one single critical movement, the backward push. This simple little action is what kicks off a whole chain reaction of correction all through your body.
So it all starts with this one key move, the hand pushback. And let me be clear, this isn't about just placing the pole down for a bit of balance. No way. You are actively and deliberately pushing that pole straight back behind you. That push is what creates the propulsive force that is the key to, everything that comes next.
And check out this chain reaction. It's pretty amazing. It starts with number 1, your hand pushes the pole back. That push forces number 2, your torso has to lift and straighten up. That, in turn, allows number 3, your opposite leg to swing further back than it normally would. And the beautiful result of all that, number 4, the hip unlocks and opens up. It's just a perfectly connected sequence.
So with every single step, with every single push, you're putting this gentle, repetitive stretch on those tight, rusty hip flexors. Seriously, it's like you're putting a little drop of oil on that stuck hinge with every single step. And over time, that restores your mobility and it transforms your stride from a little shuffle back into a long, powerful walk.
Now that we've started to open the body up, let's talk about the second key mechanic, creating this incredible foundation of stability and support. This is about changing the entire structure of how you move.
It's pretty simple, really. You've got your 2 feet, you add 2 poles, and suddenly you have what we call 4-point support. But this is about so much more than just not falling over. It fundamentally changes the physics of how your body carries its own weight and stays balanced. You're building a brand new, much more resilient frame to move from. So what's the first thing you feel? Weight distribution. The poles literally take a significant chunk of your upper body's weight off of your lower body. This directly reduces that grinding pressure on your hip and knee joints, which, for anyone dealing with something like osteoarthritis, can be an incredible immediate relief. And here's the cool part. Benefit number 2 is that this 4-point structure basically forces your core to wake up and get to work. To use the poles right, you have to engage your abdominal muscles, and that automatically pulls your torso upright. But it gets even better. That action corrects the tilt of your pelvis, pulling it back into a neutral, much healthier position. Here's a great way to think about it. Picture a tent that's all lopsided. Maybe the main pole is askew. Your pelvis is kind of like that central frame. The Nordic walking poles act like 2 new, super strong guy ropes. When you plant those poles and push, you're tightening those ropes, pulling that central frame, your pelvis, squarely back into perfect alignment. And finally, this leads to a massive benefit, both physically and mentally: stability. The poles act like a safety net. They dramatically reduce that fear of falling. And when your brain isn't afraid of falling, your body stops tensing up to protect itself. It allows everything to relax into a more natural and efficient way of moving. So when you put it all together, this 4-point foundation is kind of like installing this custom-built, shock-absorbing frame right onto your body.
It gives you support, it gives you protection, and it makes every single step feel lighter and so much more secure. Okay, so we've unfolded the body, and we've made it stable. So what's the final piece of the puzzle? It's time to wake up the body's true engine to power this new and improved stride.
You know, so many of us suffer from something called gluteal amnesia. Sounds kind of funny, but it's a real thing. All those years of sitting have literally taught the biggest, most powerful muscles in our body, our glutes, to just switch off, to go to sleep. And when that happens, the body has to compensate by overusing weaker muscles like the ones at the front of your thighs.
Well, Nordic walking is the perfect wake-up call for these sleeping giants. Like we said, it encourages a longer stride. It also naturally promotes a proper heel-to-toe roll with your foot. And that specific combination of movements is exactly what's needed to recruit the gluteus maximus, forcing it to fire up. It literally shifts the engine of your walk from the front of your leg all the way to the back, which is right where it belongs.
It's kind of like tuning up an old car, right? Imagine your main engine, your glutes, has gotten disconnected from the wheels. Nordic walking is like that expert mechanic who comes in, does a full tune-up, and reconnects that powerful engine, restoring your body's original power and performance.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. As you can see, Nordic walking isn't just a walk in the park. It is a systematic process for rebuilding your body's fundamental mechanics.
Look, if you remember just one thing from all this, make it this. The entire process really boils down to two simple but incredibly powerful actions. Open up the shrunken body and wake up the sleeping glutes. That's it. That is the core of this entire transformation.
And what we're talking about here is a complete transformation. It's a from this to this kind of deal. You go from a body that's folded in on itself to an open, upright posture. You go from an engine running on weak, incorrect muscles to your body's true powerhouse being fully engaged. And ultimately, you go from a hesitant, unstable shuffle to a stable, powerful, confident stride.
You see, this goes way beyond just getting exercise. This is about reclaiming a fundamental movement. It's about rewriting how your body moves through the world. So really, the only question left to ask is, are you ready to unfold your stride?